70,000 from 90,000?
60.
So 30,000 difference,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, yeah.
Are there any other alternative revenue sources,
Maybe
revenue
the senior
funding
center.
funding for this, that, so we could avoid?
The parking utility, can we use the parking utility? There's a big reserve.
That's a good point. Parking utility, Mark?
Studies,
Why
I don't
not?
know.
Cause
I don't know if it's funded studies, but
Oh,
it's
no,
man. Consultants will take our money
Well, I
for
don't wanna-
anything.
I mean, we're talking on-street parking.
No?
No, we're talking all parking,
Parking
parking lots,
lots.
we're talking everything.
What is this going to inform? Like, why are we throwing $95,000 at
Okay,
consultants?
I'd
What
like
is
to
this gonna
just,
help
I'd
us?
just like to finish the
figure out?
last question. Could we use some money from the parking utility?
It would be very nominal in the scope of the study, I'm
Right,
sure,
like
if
20
it's
grand.
possible.
Good.
Bart, are there any grant funds that could possibly
Like
fund
5 grand?
that? Like planning grants from the
Mark.
state?
Whitefish
None that
Bay
I'm
uses
currently
those.
aware of, but I could research
Is
it
it-
more
Okay.
fully. Offhand, I don't recall ever seeing.
Do we have so we have a reduction of $30,000?
And another 10 for the parking utility. So I can change it to 50.
So you'll amend it to 50,
Yep.
okay. Okay, I'll second that. Are we ready to vote?
Are we guaranteed? I mean, I haven't heard from the CDA. I don't know that they're gonna throw this.
It could always fall to the bottom line
They
if
have
we
money
don't use
for,
it.
they have
They
money
have our
for a
money.
study, yeah.
There's money for
And we
studies.
could always just
And then-
not approve a scope or, you know.
Right.
Yeah, scope
All it
changes.
is saying that, I mean, what it really does is it prevents us from getting our, percentage that we want tonight, but it doesn't mean that we're gonna spend it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to reduce the transportation parking study from 90 to 50, correct?
Hold
So
on.
saving.
That was an amendment, so we have to take the vote on the amendment first. And
Oh,
then
no,
the
I,
motion.
It's a friendly amendment.
I
for
did
the
it to
person
my
who
own
made the
motion and was seconded.
Okay, so
accepted
we're
it.
reducing the
And
levy by 40,000, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. All in favor, say
Oh.
aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Passes 5-2. Okay. The police building completion design, I guess Riley reduced their estimate for how much they would need by $51,000. So we went from 65 to 14.
Yay! That's a
Well,
good
that's
one.
a result of the
That's
discussion
huge.
you had at the board meeting. Now, I know there's been some follow-up correspondence about adding another 3,500 onto that to look at both the garage and public space at the same time, to try to give the board more information on that. So if that's of any interest, you'd want to move to amend that to 17.
I mean, we don't even know what we would put there. I mean, we haven't even done the space planning to say what kind of use we would use that space for. You know, would it be office space for someone, or would it be a big open public space? You know,
Isn't
I don't know.
attached, is the reason why we ran into this at the fire department, is the reason why it's because of the systems? Like you'd have to do both places at the same, I'm just asking, because otherwise I would not authorize that, but do you have to do them together?
For like economy of scale. kind of.
Because like the HVAC would,
They're all connected. It's all in the building.
Right, I mean,
You know, you want it, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think we'd have
It
to
does-
say,
it
I
might
think
not,
we'd have to
sometimes it
say,
yeah, I will tell you that we've been along the way, have really been consciously planning, so as that was gonna be community room, to do the HVAC and do all the things that we needed to do. But depending on what, you know, to find out, and we have some ideas, cause I just wanna point out a couple things, that the 63,000 was to do all the, you know, floor plans and architecture and all that. This reduces just to kind of some schematics of possibilities to get us to a more reasonable number. And some of those ideas, need to be a little bit out of the box in order to do that, but I think in talking with Riley, I think we can do that. I believe the other amount was from what, Mark? The additional money was?
3,500 to contemplate the build out of the public space.
I don't know, it sounds like the HVAC, thank you, chief, it sounds like the HVAC consciously has been done throughout, like that system is in place and now it would just be the build out. Is that correct?
Well, I thought that, we're
It's
part of North
designed
Shore,
for the build-out.
talking about that.
Design, yeah,
Right.
not for this.
Yeah, that's for, I mean, now the North Shore Health Department has asked to
Mhm.
be a part of this. And so that's what that
Did they?
$3,500 is to
They've
find
always said
out whether or
no
not
to
that's
me.
doable.
Yeah.
So that's the added cost, so it's not so much the community room itself, as that the North Shore Health Department has asked us to,
If it would be a potential,
if it's
a
potential.
possibility, but we've asked them
That's
to
where
go
that
back and
35 is.
evaluate.
But how much space do they need? When we talked with them, or when I talked to Ann, she said that she would not desire to
You know
go
what,
there.
I don't wanna get into a space planning
Yeah, we-
discussion
I-
tonight
I know, I'm
at ten
just-
o'clock
if
at
you're
night
asking
when
for the
we
money.
still have a ways to go, so.
I'd make a motion to reduce the
Leave it up.
police building completion design from 6,500 to 17,500.
What is
Is that
it?
it?
What is it up there?
17,500?
Yes, that includes the health department component.
Is there a second?
Wait, did you state that correctly? What did you say?
17,500.
17,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're including the 3,500?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
That passes 5-2. Deferral of squad replacements, okay, where are we? Can we see, we're at 2.5%.
We're at 2.4.
Yeah, 2.4. Can I just see if we, take out the dump truck where we have got that? Ooh, the dump truck gets us to 1%. What
It
else
just
is?
seems off.
We
but
still
when I
have
did
the-
mine, it was, I
And
reduced
we still
everything.
have the facilities maintenance position in there.
Well, keep in mind, I adjusted this blue number here with the staff adjustments too, that's already baked in, that I
What
just
is in
gave
there
up.
for healthcare?
You know what, I'm gonna say that you guys can battle the numbers.
No, it's okay, the reason I ask is I had a conversation with trustee Menta,
Mm-hmm.
and I assume that healthcare is left at 10% in this, in what you're presenting.
Right.
And so I just wanna make the point, it's gonna take me 1 minute, that I know CPI, you know, that was not voted, so I won't waste our time on that. But in the future, in order to get us to a healthcare at 10%, we may have to change the plan design, and I'm sure staff is gonna come forward with some sort of recommendation to do that. As an individual, as an employee, sometimes that is way more valuable, meaning I'd rather have my healthcare plan stay the same than a measly 1 or 2, 2% CPI of my salary. I just wanted to throw that out there, that because we're not looking at them,
Right.
I'm looking out for the actual employees, and I know that if someone has like a condition, that they would much rather have a plan design with a low deductible to make up the difference than to try to get to 10% on your health care with a bad plan design and yet keep their CPI. So I just want to throw that out there, that they're both affect an employee.
But where does it fit in our discussion tonight?
So this
'Cause
assumes
I like what you're
10%,
saying.
and the bids that we got were significantly higher from our provider this year, and they went out to bid, and they have the information staff, I believe, but we don't, of
So
what
you
they came
think
back
that
with.
it might
No,
come-
they haven't
We
come
don't
back
have
yet.
final numbers, we hope to have some more
I
information
think
for
it's
a
gonna
public
come back
hearing.
significantly higher than 10%.
Well, I guess there's if there, okay, the way it was explained to me was, yeah, if it comes in at 15%, there'll be changes to deductibles or whatever to get it to 10%. But I think there's also an option that the board may wanna consider, if it comes in at 15%, to not mess with the health plan, but instead make up that difference in the COLA,
Yeah.
which I would agree with
And when do
too.
we decide that? We can decide that later?
I mean, it would be a net zero, we'd have to do
That's what
it.
I'm suggesting, thank you for saying that.
Aren't you
Yes.
coming in November 5th?
November
I just didn't know
5th.
when
So
we
it
would
doesn't
Yeah.
affect.
So
Okay.
November
November
5th,
5th.
That's what
November
I'm-
5th,
Yeah.
Tyler's
Yeah.
gonna
Okay, as
come
long as we
with
have that
whatever
conversation at some
changes,
point.
so
Yes.
we can if we wanna make a net zero, by doing that some other way, we can do that. Where were we? So we're at 1% if we take out the dump truck, and we're keeping the building maintenance position, and we're keeping the squad. We have not yet talked about, C items and operations, right? Well, there's not too much in there.
Did anyone get the mileage for the cars? I know that was gonna be provided, not that, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
we're at one, but
I have it,
you have it?
yeah.
Could you just share
Ours
that?
at 45, the squad 10's at 45,000 miles. It'll be 5 years old at time of replacement. And according to the DPW service records, it's had 2, transmission issues,
Did you?
in the past years. The supervisor report that there's a noticeable, lag in the acceleration during emergency operations. And the driver's side interior doors falling off. I'm just reading what they wrote.
You're living in it.
Aside from just opening and shutting it, the whole panel was.
At the door.
So it was, I'm not sure what the year was on it, but it was in service in the spring of 2014, so by replacement, it'll be 5 years old.
And what about the truck, just so if healthcare numbers come up, we don't wanna reduce the COLA or the healthcare,
What about the, what?
the dump truck,
What about the dump? Oh,
the mileage and the condition?
I can tell you that, it is, so the very next day after our last budget discussion, the mechanics went into the garage to get it and bring it down so that they could ready it for leaf collection, because it's one of our frontline leaf collection trucks. It would not start. They went through their protocol, could not get anything started. It is a Sterling, which is a manufacturer that is no longer in business. So the parts are limited, there is no diagnostic equipment for it. We ended up having to tow it to a service center, and it turned out to be an electrical issue, so I think, between the tow and the service, we're at between $1,500 and $2,000.
What are you doing in the meantime?
We have it back now.
So you just delayed service?
Well, we were readying it for leaf collection,
Oh,
so we
you
were
weren't
able
supposed
to
to,
use a
okay.
different truck in the time that we did not have it available.
Can you
But
just,
it is, you know, it is, it is a strong candidate for replacing.
can I just
As
ask what the other truck was? What was the truck you used? What truck did you use in the interim?
We use one of our other dump trucks.
well, I mean, I guess we're kind of at a balance between where we wanna end up increase-wise, what we wanna do with the building maintenance position, the dump truck and the squad car.
And healthcare and COLA, just in case it comes back higher, if someone didn't
Yeah.
wanna reduce either of those, they might look to something else. I mean, you don't have to reduce COLA, you could not fund something else.
I mean, it's a little bit difficult because we don't know what, but yeah, go ahead.
So basically, is the choice like, the position in the squad car versus the dump truck if we wanna get down to one?
Yeah.
That's pretty much the,
We are at one.
with
No,
all
without
the.
the dump truck out.
One thing with the dump
Oh,
truck,
okay.
next year we have the 2005 truck. I mean, there's a whole,
We'd
if
have
you
to,
delay
we'd
it.
have to push everything out a year. You know, we couldn't double up next year.
So okay.
Can I ask a question about the maintenance position, just so I have a clear picture? The school is potentially doing this large maintenance issue, coming up in 2019, starting, the referendum would be in April if it went forward. So they're gonna be doing a lot of maintenance. Is there any possibility for, if we left that vacant, I'm just brainstorming, but that we could utilize, if we had major maintenance, that we could utilize their contractor? I mean, what's the downside of, and I know we want it filled because it's more workload for other people that are on staff, for our other building maintenance person. But what are we deferring by not having that person there with our current maintenance schedule? What's being deferred? Like, is there, I know the fire station, it took a lot.
I don't think they do major maintenance, I think they do like regular, like, you know, I don't think they're
Painting?
not, I don't think they're doing major projects,
They do a lot of coordination of contractors, for, you know, HVAC contractors, your mechanical contractors, window replacements, that sort of thing. They're, you know, I'm assuming you all live in homes of similar era to the buildings that we maintain. There's always something that needs to be done, so those types of things will get deferred.
But do we have like a schedule for maintenance? And I'm really asking this question, like, I always hear Mark saying, you know, we have a schedule for what needs to be maintained. Chris used to say this, like, this year we're gonna do Village Hall, and, you remember that? So what is scheduled for 2019?
Well, the schedule that he was referring to was your major building systems and mechanicals, and you don't have any of those in the budget for this year.
Okay.
So there wouldn't be any of that.
So that would have taken one person.
We've got deferred maintenance across the board.
I understand we don't have any budget in there for it, so our budget's very low.
The other,
Unless
the
we wanna
other
hire it.
piece that will not necessarily be apparent to residents, but that position does a significant amount of support for other village departments. We will be unable to do some of those things.
Like, can you just give me an example?
Sure, they do election setup, they pick up, they deliver tax bills, they pick
All
up and
rooms set
deliver
up for the senior center?
ballots, set up for the senior center,
Then change that.
support, like,
Right.
some of the village committees in sets up for their events. So, you know, it's just, those types of things likely still have to be completed. They're going to have to be picked up by staff outside of our department.
Thank you, and I just wanna make the point though, that we didn't budget any, we have two positions. We typically, or we have in the past, utilized one for some of our major maintenance contracts or whatever we do for our scheduled major maintenance. We're losing the fire station, which is a good thing. I just feel like the other position always would have assumed those responsibilities of setting up the barricades or whatever, setting up the senior center chairs. I'm not downplaying it, I'm just saying the situation, that we don't have any budget for major maintenance. And we feel the need that we need to fill it in a time where we're trying to cut money. So
But
we're not
that's not
taking,
the vast majority of what they do.
oh, so they're not, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, we're not eliminating the position, I just wanna be clear, 'cause I can't remember who told me that, Mark and I had that conversation. It's not eliminating the position, it's just not filling it for the year. So there's a difference, because if you eliminate the position, then it's off the books, and if you just keep it vacant, it stays on. So I think we talked about that in your office.
You know, I've been following the school thing, there's a lot of, you know, deferred maintenance, and it just catches up with, you know, I think the village board has really made a commitment to try to keep our buildings maintained, so we don't end up 20 years, 10 years from now with the, you know, big projects that we're always working on.
But to be clear, this isn't, we don't have any funding to do that deferred maintenance. If you really wanna not put off your deferred maintenance, you put money in the budget.
We're at a position that are trying to maintain systems, paint, you know, make the place look like, it's like your house. I don't know. I spend a day a week maintaining
Well,
one
Leanne, are you
house.
talking about regular maintenance of facilities as opposed to the big mechanicals?
Um,
I mean, there's talk about deferred maintenance, you're deferring regular maintenance.
It would, if that position were not filled, we'd be deferring regular maintenance, yep.
Leanne, which would you prioritize, and I think you answered this last time, but just to be clear, the dump truck or the position?
Left hand.
I would always defer the truck.
You can never say that about a person and ask anyone to have a different response.
Yeah.
Well,
Always.
okay, to be fair, if we were, you know, a couple years down the road and it was maybe more than one truck, and we were looking at, you know, all of our frontline trucks are on their last leg, and then we're balancing it against a position, you know, I honestly might have a different conversation with you, but at this particular point in time, with that particular piece of equipment and this position, I would pick the position every time.
And my last question, just about the truck. So at the fire board meeting, they have a backup, so what they do is they take the one that's not in good repair and they use that as the backup, and then they have the front line of the best one of their fleet. Do we do that similarly? Meaning they don't go and replace all of them, they have a backup, like, could this vehicle be the backup and the other
This-
dump truck be the?
We have 6 dump trucks that are our primary trucks for plowing. There's 3 frontline, and then there's 3 what we would call, I guess you could call them backups. They're not the lead plow truck. This is one of the trucks that is not the lead plow truck.
Okay.
At one time it was,
Okay.
but as it ages, we move it into, you know, it's not, our newest and our best trucks are the frontline trucks, and then the others are the,
Thank you.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
I'd make a motion to defer the purchase of truck replacement for truck 55 as savings at $160,000.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, it passes 6-1.
Officially acted on this one.
What?
So, okay, so
I,
we're at
dump
1%, we have, the squad, we have the building maintenance position. I would like to talk about out-of-state professional education, it's only $4,000, but I think given the year we're having, there's still in-state opportunities for professional education, and I feel it's as a nicety, not a necessity. We also have turf management, I'm not sure if there's anybody who really wants to do that, but, what is SWBTY?
Shorewood today.
Oh, Shorewood today.
And I would like to,
That we already decided on, right? And organics carts, we already decided on at our last meeting.
Well, I would believe that the organics carts you've made a commitment to.
Right.
Shorewood today, I would say that you are in a
Oh,
period of
that's right,
flux
we said
between
we-
the two.
no, I think we decided on the budget, we just asked
Was it
how you're gonna come back and meet it.
agenda?
Well, you sent the contract
Yeah.
back, you didn't actually change the budget though.
Budget.
I mean, I know they're very closely tied.
We said that we would,
We support a $2,000, yeah,
$2,300, what we said?
yeah, it's in the motion, and,
Okay, should we,
so I just put that number in there.
Memorialize that here,
so
just for my benefit,
Yeah.
can
please.
somebody make a motion to reduce Shorewood today from?
We don't have to, it's already decided, kinda like the organics
It
cards.
wasn't
You wanna make it-
agenda.
It
Yes,
was
it
at our
was.
last meeting.
Yes.
No, but it was the
Sick,
short, the contract for
Yeah,
Michelle
Yes.
Bob, or Michelle Bone,
yeah,
and,
For
the
the
other
contract,
item, the
it
printer.
did not pass.
it did not
Neither
pass that
passed.
way.
Yeah, but then it wasn't agendaed for this village support to amend the amount of support to
It was a contract, and we're allowed to put in the motion how much we're willing to pay for a contract.
But what are you saying is not agended?
this budget item that we were gonna consider, what is
Right.
the stipend or whatever, the share from the village for support of the Shorewood today?
Well, we discussed at our last meeting, and we did not approve the contract,
Okay,
and we said that we would fund it at an amount, I thought we said 2,000, but we said 2,300.
I took away 2,000.
I took away 2,000.
I did too, I thought it was
Sorry.
awesome.